right? Let's talk about something that feels a bit like a garden secret. We're so used to buying things, aren't we? Bags of compost, bottles of feed, all that stuff. And it all has its place, of course. But the real magic, the thing that separates a good garden from a great one, is when the garden starts looking after itself. We're talking about building soil for free. Not just saving money, but creating a proper living ecosystem under our feet. This isn't about complicated science. It's about using certain plants as tools. Plants that dig deeper than any fork, pull up nutrients from way down below, and even pull fertilizer right out of the air. It's a completely different way of thinking. Instead of feeding the plant, you're growing the soil. And when your soil is rich and alive, your plants will thank you for it in ways bottle of liquid feed never could. It's slower game, but it's much better one. First up is the absolute classic, and for good reason, white clover. This isn't the weed people think it is. In fact, it's one of the most useful plants you can have. You see it in old lawns all the time, and there's a reason it thrives. It's nitrogen fixer. What that means is it has this amazing relationship with bacteria in its roots that allows it to pull nitrogen gas right out of the air and turn it into form plants can actually use. It's literally fertilizer on the spot. Most people don't realize that the air we breathe is almost 80% nitrogen. Clover just knows how to grab it. I use it as living mulch under taller plants like tomatoes or corn. It keeps the ground covered, suppresses weeds, holds moisture in, and all the while it's slowly feeding the soil. The bees absolutely lose their minds over the flowers too. It's complete win-win. The one mistake is letting it get too established in bed you want to change later, as it can be persistent. But for pathways or underplanting, it's just brilliant. And you've got hairy vetch, which sounds a bit scruffy, but it is an absolute powerhouse. This is a proper cover crop, one you'd sow in autumn to protect your soil over winter. It grows into this dense, sprawling mat of foliage. It looks a bit messy, but that's the whole point. All winter long, its roots are holding the soil together, preventing erosion from heavy rain. It's also a legume like clover, so it's fixing nitrogen the entire time it's growing. The real magic happens in spring. Before it sets seed, you just chop it all down. You don't dig it in. Just cut it at the base and leave all that green material lying right on the surface of the soil. This is the chop and drop method. It forms a thick nitrogen-rich that slowly breaks down, feeding your soil life, and whatever you plant next, you can plant your seedlings right through it. It feels wrong the first time you do it, leaving all that mess on the bed, but trust me, it's one of the best things you can do for your soil structure and fertility. It's a game changer. Now, if you have space for just one of these soil building superstars, it has to be Comfrey. Honestly, this plant is a legend in permaculture circles. Its secret is an incredibly deep taproot. We're talking roots that can go down 10 feet or more. Down there, it's pulling up minerals and nutrients that are completely out of reach for most other plants. Potassium, phosphorus, calcium, you name it. It brings them up and stores them in its huge bristly leaves. That's why people call it dynamic accumulator. Few times a year, you just chalk it down to the ground and lay the leaves right on the soil around your hungry plants like potatoes or squash. It's the best free fertilizer there is. The one big warning: don't plant the common type unless you want it forever. It spreads from any little piece of root. You want that Bocking 14 cultivar, which is sterile and won't spread. The bees go absolutely bonkers for its purple bell-shaped flowers too. It's not the prettiest plant, but its value just immense. Another fantastic one, and a bit prettier than Comfrey, is Borage. This is one of those plants that just makes you smile. It has these brilliant star-shaped blue flowers that are completely edible. You can freeze them in ice cubes for summer drinks, but its real job in my garden is as soil builder and pollinator magnet. Like Comfrey, it has deep taproot that mines for nutrients, bringing them closer to the surface. When the plant is done, it collapses into wonderful watery mulch that seems to just melt back into the soil, releasing everything it's gathered. The best part? You only ever need to buy it once. It self-seeds generously, but not aggressively. The seedlings are easy to spot and either pull out or move to where you want them. I let them pop up all over my vegetable beds. They draw in so many bees and other beneficial insects. You'll see noticeable increase in pollination on your squash and beans. The leaves are a bit hairy, but young ones have fresh, cucumber-like tastes. It's a multi-purpose plant that asks for nothing and gives back so much. For anyone dealing with heavy, compacted clay soil, this next one is your best friend, the tillage radish, sometimes called a dakin radish. This isn't your little round salad radish. This thing grows into a massive white taproot like a giant carrot. Its job is purely mechanical. You sow the seeds in late summer or early autumn, and it gets to work drilling down into that compacted soil, sometimes going 2 or 3 feet deep. It breaks up the soil pan better any rototiller ever could, creating channels for air and water to penetrate. This process is often called biodrilling. Then, when the hard frosts hit, the radish is killed off. You don't harvest it, you just leave it in the ground. The massive root rots in place over winter, leaving behind a perfect, deep channel filled with organic matter. Earthworms move in, and the soil structure is transformed. In spring, you have soil that's looser, drains better, and is full of life. It's an incredible amount of work done for you completely for free. And all you did was scatter a few seeds. It's so satisfying. And there's alfalfa, which most people think of as animal feed, but it's an absolute champion for improving soil structure. Its roots are ridiculously deep and extensive, breaking up compaction and creating pathways deep into the subsoil. It's a legume, so it's also a top-tier nitrogen fixer, enriching the soil as it grows. You can use it as a cover crop, cutting it back a few times a season and using the tops as a nitrogen-rich mulch. Called green manure. This is plant that's really working on the long-term health of your plot. Most people don't realize that its purple flowers are also a huge draw for beneficial insects, including specialist pollinators. The one thing to know is that it doesn't like acidic soil, so if you're gardening on peat, it might struggle, but for most average garden soils, it's fantastic choice for patch you want to leave fallow for season 2 seriously rejuvenate. It builds that deep, crumbly soil structure that every gardener dreams of. A lot of these plants are functional, but what if you want a soil improver that's also just a beautiful flower? That's where lupins come in. They are stunning. Those tall, magnificent spires of flowers in early summer are a classic cottage garden site. But while they're looking gorgeous, they're also working hard beneath the soil. Lupins are legumes, part of the pea and bean family, and they are brilliant nitrogen fixers. They have nodules on their roots that host those special bacteria, converting atmospheric nitrogen into plant food. So they're essentially fertile themselves and the soil around them. You'll often see them used in agriculture to prepare fields for the next crop. After they finish flowering, you can chop the whole plant down and let it decompose on the bed, or just cut off the flower stalks and let the foliage die back naturally. Most people grow them just for their looks and have no idea they're also getting free fertilizer. It's a perfect example of plant that's both beautiful and incredibly useful. Double duty champion. Let's talk about one you can eat. Fava beans or broad beans are a brilliant example of a plant that does 3 jobs at once. First, you get to eat the delicious beans, which is a huge bonus. Second, like all legumes, they are fantastic nitrogen fixers. While they grow throughout the spring, their root nodules are busy enriching your soil, getting it ready for whatever you plant next. I often plant them as an early crop, and after I harvest the beans, the soil is in perfect condition for planting out something heavy feeding like squash or brassicas. The third job, their roots create a fantastic structure in the soil. The one practical tip that makes a huge difference is to cut the plants at the base when you're done harvesting. Don't pull the whole plant out. By leaving the roots in the ground to rot, you release all that captured nitrogen right where it's needed most. You're basically leaving little fertilizer packets buried in your soil for the next crop. It's core principle of regenerative gardening. Feed the soil, not just plant, and get harvest in the process. It's just smart gardening. Finally, I want to talk about the method that ties all of this together. The chop and drop. This isn't a plant, it's a technique. It's the simplest, most effective way to use these soil building plants. You grow a cover crop or a dynamic accumulator like Comfrey or Borage, and when it's big and lush, you simply cut it down. You don't dig it in. You don't take it to the compost heap. You just let it fall right there on the soil surface. This creates instant natural mulch. This layer of green material protects the soil from the sun and wind, suppresses weeds, and retains moisture. As it breaks down, it feeds the earthworms and microorganisms directly. It's basically cheap composting in place. The mistake many new gardeners make is thinking the garden has to be perfectly clean. Tidy garden is often hungry garden. By embracing a little bit of mess, by leaving this organic matter on the surface, mimicking what happens in forests. Nobody fertilizes forest floor, yet it's incredibly rich. This technique is the reason why it builds topsoil, improves structure, and costs absolutely nothing but a little bit of time.